This video is brought to you by Sailrite. Visit Sailrite.com for all your project supplies, tools, and instructions. A boat cover can help protect your boat from damaging UV rays, rain, and dirt. But the same protective cover also traps moisture, causing condensation buildup, which can lead to a mold and mildew problem. Eliminate that problem by installing boat cover vents. In this video, we'll show you how to install the Vent-Aire Ventilator. It brings needed air circulation to tightly fitting covers. Brian has just completed sewing a new boat cover for his powerboat using Top Gun 1S fabric from Sailrite. As he checks the fit of the cover, he wants to mark locations where boat vents should be installed.
And while we're on the boat, I'm going to go ahead and mark the approximate position of my vents. Kind of drawing the general bell shape of it. It's a lot easier while it's on the boat to determine the placement and orientation of it. Kind of the same thing. This one will be straight down.
Since this is a trailering boat cover, the vents are going to be installed in such a way to allow any fast-moving air that may get under the cover while trailering to escape easily from the vents near the stern of the boat. Locations are marked. It's time to show you how to install them.
Okay.
Here's Brian.
First step is to apply the basting tape to the clamshell vent.
We do not want bugs, birds, or rodents to have free access through the hole that we will be installing in our cover. So we will use a vinyl mesh called Phifertex to prevent their access.
And it does stick really, really well to the rubber, so good idea to get it where you want it first.
This double-sided seam stick is part number 129 at Sailrite.
We're going to pull off our backing.
These vents are made from a tough, pliable vinyl that snaps back without damage after being folded or flattened.
You want to go about a little bit less than a 1/4 inch from an edge. You want the edge to be fairly straight. And as you can see, you can adjust how deep you want or wide you want the vent to be. So get it positioned about how you want it. And then apply it to the Phifertex. Then we take our scissors and just trim out alongside the vent. Okay, then we're going to take our basting tape and do the same thing with the basting tape here on the Phifertex. And I'm only going to do basting tape behind the clamshell vent. If I did the basting tape across the bottom, you'd have exposed adhesive and it would be a dirt magnet. Okay, now we get our cover, which I had previously marked the position where we wanted the clamshell vent. So we expose our basting tape. And then stick it down. Now the key is to pull the bottom taut so that it lays flat.
We want our Phifertex mesh underneath the vent to be flat.
So the key is everything should be flat. Okay, now we're ready to sew it on.
We'll be sewing it on with the Sailrite ultrafeed LS1 sewing machine, and we're using profilin thread.
I'm going the wrong way here. I'm going to start at the bottom on the side. And you want to make sure everything's still flat here. Drop our foot down. And I'm going to sew with the edge of the foot against the raised portion of the clamshell vent.
The presser foot's toe on the right side of the ultrafeed LS1 is smaller in width than the toe on the left side. That's why Brian is sewing with the vent on the right. So the stitch is a little bit deeper into the flange of that vent.
To the top there, we're going to pivot.
Notice at the top of the vent, Brian buried the needle, lifted the presser foot, turned the assembly, lowered the presser foot, and then continues to sew.
And once again, make sure you keep everything flat as you go. And you'll notice I did my back stitches before I got to the Phifertex. I want to keep those on the rubber, and I'll show why in a moment. Now we go ahead and pull out.
Now we need to sew the bottom edge of the Phifertex in place. Watch what Brian does here.
Okay, now here what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to set my foot down right on top of the vent. And I'm going to start my stitch just basically right at where the bottom of the opening is. And right now I'm just sewing the Phifertex to the cover material. And once you get about halfway across, bury the needle, lift the foot, and then work across the vent so you can complete sewing.
Notice the vent compresses, so the left toe is on top of the vent, but we're sewing only in the Phifertex.
Okay, we'll slide that out. Okay, we're going to go ahead and for this we're going to use our edge hot knife. Now we'll need to install the cutting foot. Now with the cutting foot, if you have the two screws that are out here, this bottom screw is going to get the foot mounted to it. When you do that, it may not make good connection with the blade. So what we need to do is use one of the included extra screws and put it in the side of the blade there. I should note we're doing all this with the hot knife unplugged. So we'll tighten that down, and then we can loosen this screw and slide our foot into place. And you want your foot set so that the blade is past the edge of the foot, but not sticking out the bottom. And then start to tighten it down, but don't get it too tight yet. And then you need to make sure that it's centered in the foot. Now you can see that it's angled there. That's no problem, okay? That's easy to fix. Just grab the blade, just twist it just slightly. Oops, I went a little too far there, because the blade does move fairly easily. So just twist into the proper position, we're ready to go. Now it's really easy to see on the back that I stopped just a little bit short. The reason I did that is because I'm not worried about the Phifertex that sticks out the bottom, but I don't really like the corners there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to carefully trim away and round off those corners. Now carefully grab that and just make sure you're only grabbing the cover material, that you're not grabbing the Phifertex. And just cut yourself a little snip. Now we can take our hot knife, and because we're using the cutting foot, we won't cut the Phifertex beneath.
We're going to show this process in double time. If you do not have a hot knife like this, you could cut it out with scissors. Top Gun 1S ravels slightly, but since it's covered with a vent, using scissors is not a bad idea. If scissors are used to cut out this opening, then just be sure that the cut is approximately a 1/4 inch away from your stitch.
Just be really careful you don't burn the rest of your cover while you're doing this. There we go. And we've sealed the edges so they won't unravel.
We'll be installing a few more in this boat cover, but that's all for installing the Vent-Aire Vinyl Ventilator from Sailrite. This one's the medium size. Coming very soon, we will be posting a new how-to video showing how to make this trailering boat cover. Be sure you are subscribed to our YouTube channel or be watching our website so you can stay informed of new how-to videos coming from Sailrite. Order your Vent-Aire Vinyl Ventilator and the Phifertex mesh fabric at Sailrite today.